I could be your co-panelist for this because this is a topic that I think has been, been.
Hello and welcome to the Chuck Stew Show. I am your host, Chuck Stew. With me is Pearls HB, and this is the Chuck Stew Show. We are going to be having a special guest. It is Mark Calloway coming on to the program today, and today we are going to be talking about the divisive issue, which is more controversial than anything the Supreme Court has come out with. Fuck all 12 of them. Marijuana. How are you doing, Pearls?
Well, you know what, Chuck? I'm doing pretty good today. Once again, my name is Pearls Houston Book. I am once again a sociologist from Cambridge. I could be your co-panelist for this because this is a topic that I think has been, been very divisive in this country, but it's starting to gain steam. What do you think, Chuck? What are your thoughts of this? Initial thoughts.
Let me just say something that when it comes to the handicapped people that have different problems physically, and I think you can vouch for this because you are a doctor, mentally, psychologically, there's just problems that people have in this country where they need medical marijuana cards, and we're not just talking about smoking up the herbs. We're talking about fucking
edibles. Maybe liquids, the dabs, you know that shit?
Usually it's the edibles. There's the ones of people, the legit people who actually have really bad, handicaps. They're the ones that use mostly edibles. A lot of them don't smoke marijuana. They use the drops or the bears, or I don't know what the kids call it. But
the kids call it these days. Yeah.
I'm just saying, marijuana, it is a divisive issue. But if you really like put two eyes and use both of them to look straight onto the issue, it's really people who don't really understand it. Those are the ones that are going against it. Would you agree that the people that go against it don't know what they're talking about?
Well, you know what? Most of the time, yes, that is the case. But in my studies, I have seen a lot of people are concerned. The primary concern, I think, with the legalization of marijuana is the effects it has in relation to driving, things like people that are going to be interacting with others. A lot of the right is worried about the right wings. They're worried about the effect that marijuana will have on people driving. And the thing is that I kind of agree with that because if you think about it, you got these people that are getting on the road and they're going to be high as fuck because they just took their dabs or they fucking took their bears. They ate way too many bears than they should have. And now they're going to be driving, and my kid's going to be driving, and they're going to run into them and kill them. Like, what do you think about that? What do you think about those people that are questioning the legality of driving, or the possibility that these people, if they have cars, they could just be driving around and fuck everybody else, right?
Well, yeah, because I just personally think, as a user myself, because Chuck Stew has a medical marijuana card.
Bombshell, folks,
Bombshell. I'm just laying it out there for all the listeners who, I'm trying to weed you people out because there's certain people that are going to listen to this program and there's certain people that are not going to listen to this program. And I'm just saying, my personal opinion, I'll go for the right. I know, shock to everyone, I will go to the right for this argument by stating, if you are under the influence of marijuana, be it drops, edibles, or fucking hemp that you're smoking, you should not operate machinery. I've done it a few times, but I'm just saying, I believe, and don't quote me on this, but I believe that you should not inhabit any type of machinery while on the substance. That's how I feel.
Well, that's definitely a good thought.
I'll take the right. I mean, Vsauce Michael here, mind blown here, but I'm taking sides with the fucking Republicans and conservatives.
Well, that's just one of the arguments they have. Of course, another argument they were thinking of is the fact that if it's legal, it would be easier for children to get a hold of it. People that do not have cards, those that do not need it, and all they want to do is just get high. What do you think about that? You know, the possibility that those people that are not technically legally supposed to have it are getting it. Like, are you? What do you say to those people?
Well, here's what I think. This is what Eminem said. Where are the parents? Because the parents are the governing society of their individual houses, complexes, apartments. They're supposed to be the people that say, look, motherfucker, you can't smoke because you're fucking 8. So, like, but also on the other end of the spectrum, if you are a kid and you're fucking like 14, like, you know, you enter into high school and you're 14 and you've already dabbled into the art of smoking, and it's not really an art. If you dabbled into fucking hemp, and you're like, oh, well, this is the gateway for me personally. So I'm smoking hemp. I'm doing it behind my parents' backs, and it's just like, whoa, dude, I really need something that's gonna be like something harder. Like, I want to do some N-bomb. So I want to do some bath salts.
So wait a minute. Are you confirming the notion that the right have usually said that marijuana is a gateway drug? Are you saying that kids that get into marijuana are more likely to dabble with maybe harder drugs, like cocaine, meth, that kind of shit?
That's a multi-pronged question, in my opinion, because when I look at things like this, I base it on the individual of that person, no matter the age. So to some people, it can be a gateway drug, saying like, I'm smoking the White Widow, but I'm not really getting that high, so let me go ahead and do Jaeger while I'm doing bath salt. Because that's how it's going to work for me personally, even though I'm fucking up my own life. But then there's certain people like me, Hornsby, for example, and sure, we do. I'm not saying we don't, but we do. Some liquor. I get that. Beer is a gateway to liquor, but it's like, if you really think about it, I drink once a week, sometimes twice, depends on my mood. You drink once a week in our house without using machinery. I went to my doctor. My liver's fine. I don't consider smoking marijuana or drinking a gateway drug to me personally, or to you. It's the person.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely right about that. It's all about, you know, who it is that's they're taking the drug. Obviously, more impressionable teenagers. You know, they might be pressured into, you know, going into these harder drugs. It all depends on, you know, the group that they hang out with. You know, but you know, I kind of get the gist of what you're saying. You know, that it's the parents' job to take care of the children, make sure that they're not taking care of, you know, make sure that they're not doing these harder drugs, and you're kind of being more responsible messes. That's definitely good. That's good. You know, I think, you know, I agree with you on that point. You know, I think that it's definitely the parents' job. We gotta go a little, you know, harder on it. I also think that I mean, if you want to comment on this, you can. This current generation that we live in, you know, the generation, the millennials, you know, what we're at now. These are the kids that were born between 1987 and 1995. You know, those children, the people that are turning into 20-year-olds at this point, 20 or higher, 20 to 25. I believe that, at least in my personal, you know, this is Pearl Houston book speaking. I believe that, you know, we're being more tolerant for those kind of things. Like, we're getting more and more tolerant for harder drugs. You know, because we're seeing that, you know, our parents are very responsible, and so it's kind of like led us to not be. So, like, what do you think about, what would you say to the, you know, the 20-year-old or the 22-year-old, for the kid that, you know, does these drugs, but, you know, they're somewhat responsible. You know, what would you say to them for their future? What would you suggest, you know, as an expert?
As an expert, Pearls, I would personally suggest that there are certain drugs you should always stay away from: the N-bombs, the bath salts, the crocodile, black tar, fucking
methamphetamines. Heroin. Yeah. What would you say about, you know, maybe the psychedelics? You know, some people say like the psychedelics, like ecstasy, LSD. You know, there have been reports of negative highs, you know, negative, you know, experiences. But you know, what do you say about those drugs?
Well, personally, for me, Pearls, I would say that it was a horrible, terrible experience when I did it. But when you take the statistics from ASAP Science, they did a video on hallucinogenic drugs, let's say shrooms, for example. They said that 80% of the people who did drugs, when it comes to shrooms or acid or any type of hallucinogenics that are not necessarily really hardcore drugs that made you hallucinate, it was a positive experience. It was when the people that have a pessimistic view on life were the ones that have bad trips, like me, because when I did it back in 2007, it killed it for me. It was so fucking terrifying and scary.
Yeah.
I never touched it, and it's been 7, 8 years, and I have no desire to do it. So,
yeah. Well, that's definitely a good point. If we're talking like scientific, scientists have shown that once do studies on these kind of drugs that they're it depends on your mood and it depends on your overall outlook on life. If you're not really a positive person, you're not going to have a positive eye. And that makes sense. We've got about a minute before we got to go to commercial break. One last question. In this case, you say you have done these kind of drugs. Once we come back from commercial break, we're going to talk to an expert, Mark Calloway, on this subject. What would you teach your children? When you have children eventually, what are you going to say to them in regards to drugs?
well, most likely those children, if I do, I have no children now, folks, but if I do get children, they will most likely be like me. They will be creative. So, by the words of Aldous Huxley, there are certain drugs he wasn't able to do for obvious reasons. There are certain drugs he would do that have no connotations towards being addictive. I'm not saying that because every Tuesday I have to smoke. Because a lot of people say you don't have to smoke marijuana to get addicted. I think it's pretty safe to say I'm fucking addicted. So, with my kids, don't watch porn until you're 18, don't have sex till you're 30, and don't fucking do any drugs until you're fucking 80. So,
well, that's definitely great, Chuck. Well, we have to go to commercial break right now, but in a couple minutes, stick with us because we're going to be talking on the phone to Mr. Mark Calloway. He's a professor and a firefighter at University of Arizona, and so we're going to see what his thoughts are on this subject professionally. Thank you very much. We'll be right back. Hello, it's Rosario, Tennessee. If you need a roofing job, just come to us. We've got 3 Johns on the roster. We got John who does the work, John who lays down and does nothing, and John who also does the work. So we want you to come. We got 3 estimates. See Rosario, come to us for any kind of roofing project. Thank you very much. This ad is brought to you by Land Surveying. Because if you want a 3, you've got to get in between. That pussy, that is. Contact Jaime Reyes. Woohoo! It's that new Mario Tennis for Wii U! We got all the characters. We got Bowser, Mario, Paratroopa. They were here to get those serves and those fights by Mario Tennis Wii U coming out in Christmas. This program is brought to you by NXP Visual Media, a leader in Tucson, Arizona visual media products. This is NXP CEO Robert Gillis here. We'd like to thank you for listening to our program, and we'd also like you to check out our other products in the NXP umbrella, namely NXP Audio and NXP Publishing. Once again, we'd like to thank you for listening to the Chuck Stew Show.
everybody, welcome back to the Chuck Stew Show. I am Chuck Smith. This is Pearl Houston Buck, and with me we have Mr. Mark Calloway from the University of Arizona. He is the man who is a firefighter and also has a lot of thoughts on this particular subject. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing good tonight. How are you guys doing?
Pretty fucking good.
We're doing good. I think we're doing good. We're glad we could finally talk to you in person, Mark. We know that you've been an expert on drug use and those kind of things in U of A. You've actually taught the master class of marijuana use in the U of A. Chuck kind of fell down here. Get up, Chuck. All right, so I'm going to ask the first question. And we were just talking about legalization of marijuana. Let's just get your initial thoughts. And what do you think about the legalization of marijuana? What do you support?
Well, from my history, I mean, I am dealing with a lot of college.
By NXP Visual Media, a leader in Tucson, Arizona visual media products. This is NXP CEO Robert Gillis here. We'd like to thank you for listening to our program, and we'd also like you to check out our other products in the NXP umbrella, namely NXP Audio and NXP Publishing. Once again, we'd like to thank you for listening to the Chuck Stew Show, featuring Pearl's Houston Book.
Hello, and everybody, welcome back to the Chuck Stew Show. I am Chuck Smith. This is Pearl Houston Buck, and with me we have Mr. Mark Calloway from the University of Arizona. He is the man. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing good tonight. How are you guys doing?
Pretty fucking good.
We're doing good. I think we're doing good. We're glad we can finally talk to you in person, Mark. We know that you've been an expert on drug use and those kind of things at U of A. You've actually taught the master class of marijuana use in the U of A. Chuck kind of fell down here. Get up, Chuck. All right, so I'm going to ask the first question. And we were just talking about legalization of marijuana. Let's just get your initial thoughts. And what do you think about the legalization of marijuana? What do you support?
Well, from my history, I mean, I am dealing with a lot of college students, and at that age, typically they tend to like the green, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
So, typically, a lot of parents would say that I should be against it because of my education and how I am a role model to these students, but I'm actually for it. I believe the students perform better, and they're more happy.
Wow. That's actually the opposite of some certain studies that say that marijuana use makes people sluggish and makes them not as energized as they could be. So you're saying that your students exhibit opposite symptoms when they do it?
Yes, my students tend to pay attention more in class. I mean, we're interrupted by some Dorito breaks more, if you know what I mean. But definitely, our students are definitely more happy and they are more energetic about learning. And they're more horny.
Wow, that's great news, actually. Especially for you, you Chuck. You support the legalization. You don't think that it should be, machinery should be operated. On that fact, do you think there's any time where marijuana use is not supported, Mr. Calloway? Like you shouldn't use it?
I believe that it should be used at all times. I know personally that some of my students drive better when they are under the influence. I mean that I've seen my students drive. We take field trips out to other laboratories and everything, and I've seen how they drive, and it's not pretty. I know that if they hit the pipe, sometimes they will drive better, and it is more safe.
Wow, this is actually groundbreaking news. Everyone that's listening to this program probably thought the opposite. But it turns out, you're an expert, and you're saying that these people, these kids, they're just having a great time, and that's great to hear. It's good to hear that this drug, that has such a bad reputation, is actually, getting some positive feedback. Another question we were thinking of is we were talking about gateway drugs. Do you think that marijuana is a gateway drug?
I in fact do believe it is a gateway drug. I feel that once they're going to be high, they want to get more high, and they're going to go ahead and try to get more high with other substances. And I don't see a problem with that. Just learning about yourself and getting to new dimensions in your mental brain while being high, I believe you discover some things about yourself, and I don't believe there's an issue with that. So
you're saying you support the use of hard drugs, things like bath salts, methamphetamines, cocaine, that you support that?
I believe everything is good in moderation. You definitely don't want to be on crystal meth 24/7, but hey, on holidays, what's wrong with it? Hanging out at the pool, smoking some crystal meth, I don't believe anything's wrong with it.
That's definitely good to hear from an expert. Now, Chuck just brought something up to me. There's a drug called the N-bomb. Are you aware of that drug? Like, are you familiar with it?
I am not. Please tell me some details.
You know more about it, right?
Yeah. All right. So what it is? The N-bomb is a type of methamphetamine, but it's mixed with hallucinogenic drugs, where it has a certain lace in it, where it gives you the ultimate high, kind of like the crocodile drug. But what it does is, if you take even one, you put one drop on your tongue, it makes you not only go into an immediate dream state, but it makes you fly into a superhuman rage. And there have been counts where only after one hit, the subjects committed suicide.
That's hard. What do you think about that?
I feel more studies will have to be needed on that. I mean, we definitely don't want our students here at the University of Arizona dying on us. Here, we're definitely involved in the NASA problem, in the NASA program I meant, and I don't want students being killing themselves because they get high. I want them to die in space because they're learning and not dying from being high. So I believe that particular drug that you're speaking of might have to be investigated some more. But I'd like to bring something else to my attention. I recently noticed that a big debate about drugs is legalization. And I believe these should all be legal, but I feel the government should have pricing issues. I feel the prices are too expensive.
So what will your pricing model look like? You say, you were tasked by the government to create a pricing model for drugs. Like, what would your ideas be?
I like it to be fair, like in grocery store prices. I mean, they're crops after all, right? Particularly talking about marijuana here. I don't know. I feel that Chuck might be more entitled to answer that question. I feel he's better with money and those type of things.
Well, the question, Chuck, was, if the government gave you solely the job of creating a pricing model for illegal drugs, basically, in this world, every drug is legal. You can just create it and sell it, and there's no problem. But what would your pricing model be? Like, where would you go with that?
Well, if you actually look back to the 1900s and 1910s, meth was legal for sale. So it just wasn't a regular. And also, even back then, there was what was called the prohibition of alcohol, where they thought it was so bad that it was not able to be sold on the mainstream market. Go ahead and look that up. You don't have to quote Mr. Chuck Stew. But I'm saying if every legal, if every drug was legal, then to put it on prices, I would put it on prices of the pound. I mean, I'm saying personally, because I'm a Democratic Democratic partier, and I'm saying, from my personal viewpoint, I do not believe that all drugs should be able to buy behind a fucking prescription counter. But there are certain drugs that you can buy that do the same shit to you, like Prozac, fucking Soma. There's shit you can buy behind the counter. That's lethal for you. That is fine and legal. So I'm just saying, if you put it by the pound and the base of the product, you go ahead with that.
All right. Well, Mr. Calloway, we only have a couple minutes left. Do you have any final words for, maybe our listeners? Anything you'd like to say?
I think that everyone, when they come to the great state of Arizona, particularly, talk about legalization, should get a pound of marijuana and try it out for themselves.
Well, once again, that was Mr. Mark Calloway, professor of legal drugs at the University of Arizona, also former firefighter. We'd like to thank you for coming on our show tonight. And you have anything to say, Chuck? Chuck?
Thank you, sir, for coming on our program. We highly appreciate it.
We highly appreciate all the transactions we do as well with your radio station, especially in the U of A. Thank you very much.
Have a good night. All right, we'll be right back, folks. We're going to have a really quick commercial break, and we'll be right back for the finale. Thank you. This program is brought to you by Hornsby's Premium Quality Hard Cider. 5.5% alcohol per volume, naturally gluten-free, crisp and smooth. An official sponsor of the Chuck Stew Show. Thank you very much. This is Pearl Susenbook, and you know what? I have to tell you, when I do the Chuck Stew Show, I need that Strongbow hard cider. Strongbow is a brand that not many people know of. There's a bunch of different flavors, and it's just something that really wets my whistle when I need it. We've got a lot of tough topics to cover on this show, and Strongbow really does it. So I would like you, all of our listeners, to support Strongbow hard cider. We love it here. Chuck loves it. I can vouch for you there. So Chuck, I promise you, Strongbow hard cider. Drink it, enjoy it, listen to our show, and we're right on the air right now. So welcome.
What happened? Hello, this is Chuck Stew, a part of the Chuck Stew program. I'm Chuck Stew. With me is Pearl's Using Book with Chuck Stew on the Chuck Stew program. We just had the man, the myth, the legend from fucking U of A University, Mark Calloway, and I'm just here to say to you folks, for my final word, that I personally, I can only speak for this guy, personally. I started off late for that, and okay, but with the drugs, I was tricked. I was tricked into doing it, and I've never done it. I've never done hallucinogenics since I was like fucking 20. So that's just me personally. Everything that everyone bases off of things that have to do with marijuana, it has to be done by the individual, not society and not the subculture. What do you think about that, Pearls?
Everything, what?
Everything is not based off of the subculture or what it says that people say that you need to be into something. Let's say, like, fucking someone says, oh, well, you needed to look at Hustler at, like, 14 or something. Or you need to look at porn at, like, fucking 12. Like, you make your own decisions. Like, how do you feel about the individual's perspective?
Well, here's the thing. If we're taking it back to drug use specifically. I personally did not get into any drug use until I was about 23 years old. And that was just because I grew up in a very religious family. And, you know, this just wasn't something that you did. And, you know, I think Chuck, you're the same way. You didn't really drink, you didn't smoke. You know, you guys didn't really nothing. That's just, you know, based off of upbringing. But now, you know, because drugs are being legalized, and I'm sure marijuana will be legalized across this country within a matter of months, you know, 6 months to a year, I'm sure that all the states will adopt it. You know, we got to just be more careful with our children. You know, those that are having children or have young children that will be, you know, going to school soon. You just got to be careful. You got to let them know that what these drugs do to you, and you know, based on your personal beliefs as a person, you got to figure out what you want them to grow up as. You know what I mean? So it's not all based on peer pressure. It's basically on what you as a parent decide you want your children to be into.
Sometimes it is on peer pressure. With some specific types of people. I'm not saying racism. I'm not saying a race of people. I'm just saying you as an individual. It is based off of your personal life experience. Because with my experience, I was pressured to smoke cigarettes a lot. When I was at a young age, let's say 14, I was at a young age to smoke cigarettes, and I worked around that because I smoked a cigarette when I was 15, and I hated it. I didn't want to do it, and I never got addicted to it. I liked the smell back then sometimes, but I didn't do it. But I'm just saying. Also, Ross, he's got it on. Like, he is a conservative Republican, but Green Party Democrat. I would say if we could do a commercial about it, where this man, I can say from my heart that this man, 95, if not 100% of everything he puts on Facebook, I agree with, which is strange.
Okay, just to clarify for our listeners, Ross is in fact my father. Ross Houston Book. He's conservative. He's actually he's a pastor in this great country, and you know he puts a lot of things on Facebook that are very conservative. He identifies as a conservative Republican, and we'll go from there.
I agree with him more than I agree with my own father. My own father is a Democrat. He's a strong, hardcore Democratic person living in the USA, and he has a very strong alliance and very strong opinions about things. But from what my doctor said, the things that he says about things when it comes to subjects are not based on it. Shit that doesn't make sense. So I'm just saying, what is your opinion?
Okay, all right, Chuck. I apologize, folks. Chuck is kind of going at it here. He's had a couple shots tonight. We have about 2 minutes left. We're going to bring it right back to the marijuana issue. Next week we'll talk about something different, but right now we're talking about marijuana. What's your final word you'd like the listeners to remember from your show about marijuana?
Okay, when it comes to marijuana, and we'll have to go back to this. We'll have to go back to the subject because we did not talk about THC levels. So I would say if you want to test.
You know that love is a drug. You had it from me.
Fuck.
Feeling like I need you. I need for you to let me know. Nothing come between us. I need for you to let me know. Everybody looking for that special soul. Is it you? If you think it's true, please let me know. If you feeling right, you can spend the night. We can go anywhere you like. Nothing got a place. I'm supposed to put you like perfect type. We doing it for sure. We can keep it on the low. Take it off. Soon as you walk up in the room, take your clothes off. Bed to the floor. Baby, you know how to go. Flexing at the morning, do we make it past a million for a long time? Conversations in my head, it doesn't matter. You got some commentaries. A nigga, I ain't tryna get you flawed. What you looking for? Take a look. Just got a couple keys, maybe you can get you. So just let me know. That I got that dope, but if you take your coat, I'll be right in the get your hands on me. You gotta be certain. You gon' set us up. You get this shit on. Know you gon' be in love. But you know what young niggas got bills to the beat. Poppy street niggas, but that pop. I'm the dope man. I ain't serving dope in niggas' mouths. I'm the dope man. Tell me what you need, I got that. What you need, what you got, make it play. kiss, fuck up, and then get faded, fall out, then it's all I want. Turn in your vision, burning dope, man, and that just stirring soul. Yeah, it's so nigga, don't burn it, fuck it, you so forgetful for. Girl, you know that you need heroin, girl, you know that you need Vaseline. Green lace with that cocaine, pop a pill, pop a in them jeans, pop a feel, pop at 16. Pop would do something and start leaning, trying to die higher than Pimp C and Big Mo. You know how shit, you know how the shit. I break it down 'cause I need it, I need it, I need it. Cocaine with drugs and I'm feeling, I'm feeling, I'm feeling. Like way too hard, am I dreaming? I'm dreaming, I'm dreaming. I'm speeding, won't wait to tell if I'm breathing. On three, let's jump off the roof. 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 Baby girl, only I love you back. Just don't turn your back on me. Warm water like crazy, mama crack, baby. See, just come when I sleep. So just hold my hand, dog, and don't wanna be your party. Yeah, I just wanna sleep. I got my love stuck like I get used to. I hate when you lie. Can't wait till you die. If we broke, run around with a man, leave him dead. Rich scared of the land, like that with a motherfucker. I was raised at the end with a lamb. The surf in the sand, good 10 in this motherfucker. Wanna feel like feel, I'm smiling, it's real, and it's right. Baby girl, I need a rubber. Nothing wrong in the world with another mother. I pray to God 'cause I need her. I need her. I need her. Cocaine with drugs and I'm fiending. I'm fiending. I'm fiending. Like way too hard, am I dreaming? I'm dreaming. I'm dreaming. Highway to hell and I'm speeding. Won't wait to tell if I'm breathing. On three, let's jump off the roof. 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 On three, let's jump off the roof.